Shalom uvracha. I'm Rabbi Joseph Beda. In this week's parasha, we see a certain conception of land ownership that doesn't ring true with the way that we live today. We see that on multiple occasions, land that someone owns can actually be transferred back to someone who owned it previously. Two examples. Yovel, at the end of 50-year cycle, the land goes back to whoever was owned before. Initially, when Bnei Israel comes into the land of Israel, Moshe Rabbeinu divides up the various different plots of land, and different people own different sections. And that ultimately becomes theirs forever, because at the end of every 50 years, it reverts back. But even on a small individual case, where someone is destitute and has to sell his land for whatever reason, he has the opportunity for either he or a relative to buy it back at a reasonable price. And that can't be refused. This is a very significant idea, something we can't really appreciate today. Today, when we buy land, we own it and that's it. If we sell land, it's gone. We don't have any connection to it. And this remains the law and the way things work even today. So the question is, what's the Torah teaching us with this system which simply doesn't apply today? Well, the system may not apply, but the idea very much is intact, because this law applied only in the land of Israel. And this law legalized and codified a concept that was very, very significant that still applies today. And that is the connection between the people of Israel and the land of Israel. And it was a connection that could not be severed and could not be broken. And it was based on this concept that the modern idea of Zionism came about. That even though we were dispersed all over the globe, we always felt our connection to the land of Israel, and we always felt our legal right to it. And of course, today we have the modern day state of Israel, which is built on that idea. And I think further, the idea that not only the nation is connected to the land, but the individual Jews as well feel connected to the land, and that's true as well today. We see it even on visits where people feel they're at home, but even more significantly, with the large number of people who make aliyah or aspire to, and feel that, Israel, even if it's not where I was born, it's not where I lived, it's not my place that I'm familiar with, but it's my home. And I can make it my home. And when I get there, it permanently becomes my home. Because the Torah was teaching us, and it still exists today, you cannot sever the land. You cannot sever the bond between the land of Israel and the people of Israel. Shabbat Shalom.